So for the larger, so this is the larger, the plus 100k, it's a 19-week application process. It might sound long, but believe me, in the grand scheme of things, that's a very quick turnaround. Again, application is through a downloaded form, which you complete and then upload through our dedicated website, the Technology Programme website. There are 2 stages. There's an initial expression of interest stage, and if you're successful, you'll be called through to the full stage application, which really builds on the stuff that you already put in your expression of interest. All proposals are assessed by at least 3 independent experts, and then we have a plenary where everybody comes together and we ratify the different scores to come up with the people that we're going to pull forward or the people that we're going to fund. Now, to be really helpful, I mean, we're doing our best. We've done this process for a number of years. We learn every time we go through a competition what works, what doesn't, what seems to be confusing people, and build that into our processes. If you look on our website, you'll find a guidance for applicants. It's quite chunky, but it really is a sort of step-by-step guide of what you need to do to fill in each part of the form. And I really do recommend that you read it. But to be even more helpful, we do offer a service where we'll read your expression of interest in advance of it being submitted and give you feedback. And we won't, there won't be sort of any carryover if we read it and think, oh no, this guy obviously doesn't know what he's talking about. We're not going to think I'm going to tick him, so that when it comes through, we'll say, yeah, it's totally objective. We'll try and be as helpful as we can. Really, between the time the call opens, which is the 16th of March, to the 15th of April, you've got that opportunity for someone to have a look at it for you. As I say, a 2-stage process. Now, after the expression of interest stage, we will pull through as a number of we sort of rank them in priority order and just pull through the number of applications, which will take us over double the grant we've got available. So if you get through that stage, you've got a 50% chance of getting through, which I think are pretty reasonable odds. We do give you feedback. For unsuccessful applicants, we'll give you your score. If you're successful, we'll still give you some more qualitative feedback, which will say areas where you need to you might want to consider in your full application. And as I say, only the successful applicants will be pulled forward to or invited to submit a full application. We don't want to waste your time. So those are the key dates. The call opens on the 16th of March. There is an optional briefing, as I said, on the 1st of April, where you'll get to hear all the details about how to fill in the forms and about the finances, what constitutes, what are allowable costs and things. But the first stage in the formal competition is the 23rd of April. So if you want to compete, that's the date that you need to get your expression of interest into the Technology Strategy Board by. We will then give you feedback by the 11th of May as to whether you've got in or you've been unsuccessful. And then there will then be a compulsory briefing on the 20th of May. So if you're looking to get into this competition, this is for the large programme, the 100k plus, you probably want to put that date in your diary now. And we really do ask you to come along there, and we'll explain all the complexities of filling in your finance form and more detail about what's required. So we do expect at least one member from the consortia to attend that. Deadline date for those full applications is the 25th of June, and then within a month we'll give you your answer as to whether you've been successful or not. For the smaller programme, the less than 100k, so we've got 2 rounds. Deadline date for the first one, 23rd of April. Deadline date for the second is the 18th of June. And finally, just some hints and tips. Now, this might sound really patronising, the first one, but believe me, I know when you're in the heat of the moment, you've got deadlines, you're trying to coordinate all the different responses from all of your partners to consolidate it into one proposal. Some of the things that you normally do in business practice will go out the window. But this is what we come across a lot. And if you think that the people who are assessing it, they've got a great big pile and they're trying to sort through that pile to come up with, reasons to, come up with a smaller pile that they can encourage to go forward. So don't give them a reason to put yours in the pile that doesn't go forward. So answer the questions. I mean, there's particularly on the expression of interest, there's not an awful lot of space there, so make sure you use it. I think there's nothing, if you just see a paragraph in a great big white space, it really does look like you're not trying too hard. I know they always say that the best written ones are the ones where you've had a real chance to edit and are really concise. But if you're too concise, you'll probably have a challenge in getting your ideas across. Within the form, you fill in the form. There's no spell checker associated with it, and so you might want to do it in Word and then paste it across once you've spell checked, because that does seem to really irritate the assessors. And if you're trying to emphasise something and you've got paragraphs all in caps or bold or underlined, again, for some reason they don't seem to like that. When it actually comes to content, there's been plenty of proposals that I've sat and read through, and they're talking about some really whizzy, clever technology that they're looking to develop within their proposal, but they kind of forget to tell you what it's going to do and why people are going to be interested in it, what are the benefits. So make sure right up front that you do identify what it is you're going to do, why people are going to buy it, why it's better than whatever else is around. And I know it's obvious, but it's amazing how many, we get to the end and say, well, I don't know what it's going to achieve. And be specific when you're quantifying the opportunity. We do have questions in there asking you to quantify where you the size of the market opportunity. Now we realise, obviously before you've even developed something, that's quite hard to do. But your best guesstimates, and don't go for the, we'll get if it's let's say a web-based product or service, they'll say there are so many billion subscribers on the web, ergo this is going to be successful. Well, try and sort of contain it to what you think is your realistic addressable market. Be very, very specific. This is supposed to be a business plan, so consider it as a business plan. Now, if you've got a great idea which doesn't kind of fit into the scope, but you think, well, this is a way of getting some of it done, the assessors will recognise it. So if you're trying to shoehorn it into the scope, I would really suggest that you really don't waste your time. Make sure it does fit within the scope. The scope's quite broad, but don't try and fit it around an idea that you developed earlier. And the other thing is, we can only assess on what you put in the form. The number of times that I've spoken to people afterwards when they've said, oh well, I didn't understand, your feedback doesn't make sense. And when you actually talk to them, their idea is absolutely fantastic and it's great, but actually what they put on paper was something completely different. They just didn't get the message across. And some people might also put links to information on websites. We can only take what's actually in your form. It's a level playing field for everybody else, and it's always a good idea to get a friend or somebody to read through your proposal, somebody who's not close to what you're doing, because if it makes sense to them, then it's a good chance it'll make sense to us. And I've already mentioned about the added value, that you have to explain very clearly what the Technology Strategy Board funding is going to add to your proposal, what you're going to be able to do differently, more of, or what you're going to be able to do at all that you wouldn't have been able to do if you didn't get this funding. And that's all I was going to say. I appreciate that it's been a real sprint through. There's been an awful lot of technical information, but I'm here to take questions, and if they make the presentation available, we've got a helpline at the Technology Programme website who can provide further sort of guidance and help. There is the guidance, as I say, on the website, or there's a briefing day on the 1st of April. So hopefully there are plenty of resources there that can help you get through.